Hi, this is Wolf here from Armoury-Terrain, and today's project is going to be tombstones. Things like this. Nice light polystyrene. For today's project you're going to need a chunk of polystyrene. This one I obtained from a dumpster for free. You're going to need part of a fence paling, a box of tissues, or 2 or 3 boxes of tissues, and some watered down PVA glue. Tools required is a sharp knife or a wire cutter if you're so lucky, a drill, and of course paintbrushes to put the glue on. Now the most important part of the tombstones is to weight the bottom of them. I use part of the fence planking with holes drilled in, and the reason for this is that when you stake them into the ground they stay there. So many cheap films I see in student films, you look at them and in the background the tombstones are doing this all the time in the wind, and I just think that looks shoddy. Also, these will be used at a local Nerf war, so they need to stand upright so when the kids are behind them they don't just fall over. So our first process is to grab our chunk of foam, and I've glued a piece of fence paling to the bottom and pre-drilled the holes. I've also made a wooden guide so all my tombstones, the holes will line up. So I can take this, put it on the ground, put my sticks through the holes, and then these will all sit onto it. Now when shaping your tombstone, it's important to have detail so it's not just a square block, because it'll look awfully polystyrene and boring. So what I do is I grab a thin sheet of cardboard, cut it the right width for the tombstone, fold it in half so I can get a mirrored shape, symmetrical on both sides, and then when I'm happy with the shape I draw it onto the tombstone so we're going to have an interesting cutout shape on the top. I'm then going to lay text in this part of the tombstone and cover it with paper mache. So I might cut this out and I'll get back to you when we're ready to start paper macheing. Welcome back to this project. What I've done is carved the top. I'll pull it back down in the camera frame for you. I've carved the top out of this to make it more interesting. I've also beveled the edges. You may notice that there's white bits of foam everywhere. That's because I've had to use a knife as I don't have a hot wire currently. Stay tuned in the following weeks as I build a hot wire. Okay. So I've decided on what I'm going to write on this tombstone. Now there's 2 ways I could carve it in. I could either use a knife very, very carefully, or I can be lazy, and let's face it, look at me, I'm lazy. I can use a soldering iron. Now the fumes of this stuff is not really good for you, so a mask, or better still a respirator, would be good to wear. So now that this is hot, all that I need to do is, if you can bring the camera in closer on the icon at the top here, is to carefully bring the soldering iron around to where I want the cutout to be. Remembering of course I'm going to paper mache over the top of this, so you need to exaggerate the lines somewhat, so after you've got 3 or 4 layers of paper mache you can still see where it is. So as you can see, with a little bit of heat the polystyrene just dissolves. So I'm going to put a mask on and carve all the rest of this and get back to you when it's done for some paper mache fun. Welcome back. I've carved out all the letters on this with my soldering iron, probably, heating up the earth by 3 or 4 degrees or something horribly bad like that. But it's down. Next step is the paper mache. But polystyrene is white, tissues are white, PVA glue is white. So what I've done is got in a mason jar. These are great things for handles so you can hang on to them, and added just a little bit of paint to my watered down PVA. So as I'm going, I can see where I'm up to. Now this can be any colour paint, it really doesn't matter. All it is so you can see the difference between where you have worked and where you haven't worked. So once you get the first bit of paint down, you grab your tissue. I like tissues because they're nice and strong paper-wise. Lay it down and brush the rest of the paint into it. And as you can see with this, the letters show up quite happily through the tissues, and even through 3 or 4 layers of tissues, which will make the polystyrene nice and hard and not quite indestructible, but a lot better than it is now. The only thing you have to worry about is putting too much tissue in at once, in which case you may need to get your knife and carve it out again, but that's only a very minor problem. I'm going to work on this until I get at least 2 layers of tissue all over it, and then I'll be back to show you the finished project. Welcome back to the Tombstone project, and this is where we're at this stage. This has only 1 layer of paper tissue on it so far, and as you can see, by adding colour to the glue, we were able to see where we were going and have some idea of how it's going to look. It's now mosquito o'clock, so we're going to call it a day for today, and I'll come back in another video and show you the finished tombstone when it's all done and weathered. So, as you can see, it's quite simple to build a tombstone. Get out there and get crafting, everybody.